Hey there guys, Templar here, and today I'll be talking to you guys about where I get my arms and armor. Now, many of you guys don't realize this, that many times when I get my arms and armor, you guys might think I get it from eBay or Amazon if it's cheaper. No, I do not. Reason being, eBay and Amazon is probably the worst place you ever want to get your armor. In fact, most of the time you don't even realize that most of the brands that are on there aren't even, well, the correct versions. As well, this has actually happened to me before, and as well, the reason this has come to me is because a viewer technically started saying that he'd rather get it off of Amazon or eBay, seeing as though most of the sites I go on are in the US. However, there are hundreds of sites that are also in Europe that also ship to many countries, especially even to many countries even in Australia, and including in the US, Europe, Asia, and so on. Now, if you guys don't realize this, it's best to get good, accurate armor. Otherwise, the only thing you're going to do is just look stupid. Trust me, I've seen people before and they end up buying weird-ass, ridiculous armor that doesn't make any sense. Now, I can hear you guys already, but Templar, you're being a little harsh. It's not every day that we can just buy a million books and actually buy whatever we want. Well, that's why I pretty much just view it in a form in which I can actually work with. Now, for starters, let's first take a look at, well, the very general reason. Now, many of you guys don't realize of where I mostly get my arms and armor. Well, let's first start off with America. Now, the US actually has probably around 1 to 3 groups in which pretty much it actually works with. Let's first start with Cultivation. Cultivation is pretty much a very good group company that you can actually go with, in which actually does sell a lot of arms and armor, and both historical accurate wise. Now, this is the reason being, it actually gives it at a good price, and at the process, you actually get better arms and armor for a better price. In fact, this actually does help out a lot. Now, another good reason behind this is actually because of the fact I've actually looked and pretty much it has a lot of good weapons in there, including armor that could work for you guys. Now, as well, if you guys don't realize this, this is actually another cool part that it also has discount deals pretty much sometime around the New Year's. So that would be perfect for you guys, and as well pretty much about that version. Now, another type of group would actually have to be medieval collectibles. Now, medieval collectibles, I know you guys probably never hear about, but that's because it's probably a lost company branch, in which this company, unlike Cultivation, at least you can actually have a wish list. In doing so, you can actually save up and pretty much, well, wait for the massive deals. In fact, Cultivation has hundreds of deals and a couple hundred discounts every so month. In fact, just recently they had one for Easter, which by far is probably a good thing. Now, that's actually the good part about it. In fact, they actually do sell a lot of brands, and as well, some of them are actually both for LARP and reenactment style. But as well, some of the LARP armor can be used in reenactment. I've seen and tested the gauge myself. In fact, when I first take a look at the armor, it's pretty much perfect to the standard point. Now, another cool part about this type of armor that we can also find in here, we can even find weaponry and such, in which actually also shows if it's backward or not. But as long as you have a wish list, they can end up putting it back on, and it can actually notify you. Now that's a cool part. Now, another thing though we also might want to take a look at would also be allbeststuff.com. Now, if you guys don't realize what allbeststuff.com, here's the thing. You're technically paying overpriced armor, and in the process, you technically lose like millions. But in truth, I've actually gone to allbeststuff.com, and by far it is cheap, good armor, and as well, its price is so cheap, but yet in the process, it is extremely workable. In fact, there are gambesons, they have helmets, they even have, well, lots of mail, and the cool part about the mail armor is that you can actually, well, transform it to look as though it's your, well, design. In other words, you can add mail mittens, or as well full sleeve arming wear, or as well, including, you can even go as far as tapering a coif and including a, well, chin guard design for your mail design. In other words, it's kind of like you could go from the, say, early Celtic Roman Lower Hamata all the way leading up to, say, I want to say, into like around technically all the way up to the Renaissance, actually, if you think about it. In fact, they do actually have Middle Eastern design armor that you can actually only see in the Middle East, or including parts of Africa and India, and that's actually a cool part about it. Now, as well, you can even ask them to create a type of armor if you want. In fact, the newest type of product that they have made is a Saxon Sutton Hoo helmet, or a version of it anyways, in which is by far pretty cool. But yes, these type of groups are pretty much the three main groups here in the US. Now, if you guys realize why I like these guys a lot, is because they got good prices on armor, equipment, and weaponry. As well, allbestop.com, the reason I approve of them mostly for the mail and gambesons, and including even tunics and such, is because they make it at such a cheap price. And yet, it's all made by hand. So yeah, go to allbestop.com if you guys want mail armor. If you guys want any type of other quality armor, I would actually either prefer Cultivation or Medieval Collectibles, but when it comes to weaponry, go with Cultivation. That's pretty much for any of you guys that can't get to a vendor such as, say, well, Highlander Imports or Magic Cauldron, in which I love those guys very much. Pretty much I like to buy their weaponry, and you get the point. But yes, that's the point about it. But now, what about overseas? I could hear you guys already. Templar, I live overseas in Europe and such. I can't afford to actually pay for overseas shipping. Well, here's the thing. There are actually already a couple hundred of these ones. In fact, they're pretty much the ones I mostly approve of are technically pretty much around, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 companies. Now, technically, these 6 companies, the reason I approve of them is because of the fact they actually work just like the ones here in the States. Now, the thing is, 2 of them, however, I really wouldn't advise that much, because technically it's like, 50-50 chance you're going to get a good price. These 2 would be Armenia and as well a Res Ballistica, which is made in Italy. So if any of you guys are Italians, I advise you guys to go to Res Ballistica, which actually does have a lot of arms and armor. Now, I apologize if I'm killing the pronunciation, but you get the point. I'm not that good at Italian. But now, let's take a first look at one of them I would approve of, and that would be Celtic Merchant, or CelticWebMerchant.com. Now, this site is actually really impressive. In fact, it has the same type of quality and armor and such that you see in both Cultivation and including in Medieval Collectibles. And the cool part about it is, it actually also has a wish list, and that's a cool part. In fact, it goes from the Ancient Bronze Age up until, I want to say, Renaissance, maybe, give or take, but you get the point. But this is actually another cool part about them. And the cool part is, they make this they actually buy this armor, sell it, and distribute it. In fact, I even hear some people here in the States buy it. And as well, they do actually do very cheap overseas shipping to anybody around the world. So in other words, you guys can buy from one end of the country to the other end, or one end of the continent and such. But yeah, it is pretty impressive. And as well, don't worry guys, they even have that little, well, money bar thing, which actually shows the difference in euros, or as well in pounds and such. You get the whole point. But yes, this company is technically one of the mini groups. But as well, one of them I also would approve of is Wolfland.com. Wolfland is technically both a website and as well a brand. Now, these companies actually make several types of equipments and armor, and as well as gone as far as to make a remanufactured Lorica seeming Tarta, historically accurate-wise, and including a Lionel Thorax. Now, that is actually incredibly badass, especially if you were part of Alexander's army, and in which I'm pretty much planning on buying very soon, hopefully. But you get the point. I have to use this in type of lists and such. In which this company doesn't have any wish lists, so that's the only downside about it, but you could say it's probably just like more for reenactment use, in which that's what it's meant for. So if any of you guys are reenactors and you live in Europe, go for Wolfland.com or Celtic Merchant, in which technically Celtic Merchant's more like weaponry and such, and so you get the point. But now, what other companies do I also approve of? Well, another one would actually have to be Steel Mastery. Steel Mastery is actually quite impressive, seeing as though they go out as far as try to historically reenact the well, suits of battle armor that would have looked like. In fact, they make brigadines, they make coat of plates, they go as far as making full suits of armor for you guys. And you just have to technically make it yourself. In fact, you can actually customize your own gear. Now that is cool by far. It's just like allbestop.com, but in Europe. And this company is quite impressive, and in the process, it actually goes as far as to creating that beautiful steel-like cover. As well, I have put on my own wish list on that group, and which is another reason I also like this type of company, because of the fact I make a wish list, I can make my own gear, just like allbeststuff.com. And that's the cool part about it. In the process of making this armor, it does cost effective, but that's, well, you need that. Because you can't just use cheap gear on a reenactment battlefield, and it has to also be historically accurate. As well, they also make clothing and as well footwear. And that's another cool part about it. As I stated, they're like the Allbeststuff.com of Europe. So, technically, yeah. But as well, when it comes to the mail, I wouldn't advise it. So, yeah, Allbeststuff.com, I would advise on that one. But as well, one of the last companies I would actually inform you guys to go on to would be Outfit for Events. Outfit for Events is an incredibly badass store, and the cool part about it is it's actually pretty impressive. In fact, you can actually make your own custom design helmets sometimes, in which I did buy a helmet off of eBay, in which I believed was from Outfit for Events, in which I only got mistaken, seeing as though both of these helmets I bought, both of them didn't come with inner liner, or as well, including one of them only came with butted mail when it stated it had riveted mail. In truth, this is why you gotta go to the main site instead of just go on to the eBay or Amazon. It's gonna be cheaper. Yeah, well, the cheaper the price, the cheaper you're gonna get, the more you're gonna get screwed. So it's probably best you just get onto the main site, because this is why I don't trust Amazon or eBay anymore. They like to screw you over. But as you guys can tell, this company actually goes as far and beyond of actually even selling tents, as well, just like Wolfland. And that's actually a cool thing, because they go as far as to create that reenactment feel to it. So if any of you guys are actually out there, I advise you guys to buy from these type of sites. I will leave the links down below in the description bubble area, and so that way you guys can understand and as well buy from that group as well. But as well, if you guys are trying to also understand of which brands I would advise you guys to buy, there are only two I would normally go with, and that would be Topeka and Lords of Battles. Now, reason Topeka is because Topeka goes as far and beyond to actually try and get that historical reenactment version. They try their best to make the historical version of the weapons and armor, which is probably why I rather prefer them than another branded company. Seeing as though most branded companies try going as far as making weird-ass fantasy weapons that don't make any sense. But you get the point. Now, also, pretty much, Topeka actually has cheaper priced weaponry and gear compared to other groups. Now, though, that's the thing, though. Lords of Battles, I would approve of them as well, because you can actually get medieval armor historically accurate-wise as well. And that's another cool thing about them. The reason being, I like to dress up as a full-plated armored knight one day, and so that way I can show you guys how they would have done it. As well, even on all this stuff, and with Topeka as well, they actually have plate armor, stretching from the Bronze Age up until somewhere around World War II, in which that's kind of actually going very far and beyond. So in other words, guys, if you guys want to check out their sites and such, I will leave links down below for you guys. As well, guys, if you guys want to buy it from these type of stores, be my guest, and hopefully you guys can actually create your own type of, well, arsenal as well. Anyways, guys, this has been Templar. Hopefully you found this helpful. If you like me to talk on anything more for future videos, let me know in the comments below. And as well, I will get right to them. As well, guys, this has been Templar. Have a nice day.